So you're thinking of quitting your job to focus full time on your business. And it makes total sense. If you've seen the potential, if you've already served clients, and you could be spending all of your time doing your thing, then the sky is the limit when it comes to your revenue, right? But how are you going to keep the lights on? In other words, what should you be doing before you decide to go and quit your job to make sure that you're in a great financial state and that you're ready to tackle that next frontier? In this episode, I'm going to share with you the two numbers you need to know by heart that are going to give you the permission to quit your job at the exact right time that you can and not a minute too late, not a minute too soon. Hi, my name is Ina Coveney. I'm a business coach and I specialize in monetizing tiny audiences. And you've landed on the Get Clients First podcast, where I talk to you all about running and growing your coaching business, even if you have a small audience. And today we're going to talk to you if you're looking to quit your job so you can focus on your business full time. This episode is for you if you've gotten clients before, you have helped people with your coaching before, but your revenue is still not consistent. You're starting to realize that you're spending way more time at your full time work laptop than you could really be spending in your business. And if you spend more time in your business, then you could be making more money with it. But before you go and quit without having anything lined up, those are some keywords, right? Without having anything lined up, that would be crazy, right? You want to be responsible. You want to be smart. You don't want to be reckless, right? So when people tell you, hey, if you're planning on quitting your job, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep a certain amount of savings? Are you going to looking to replace your salary first, right? All of these are great questions, but really none of that matters. And you're going to find out why by the end of this episode. All you really need is these two numbers that I'm going to share with you that are going to really speed up your ability to get to your dream life as soon as possible in a responsible and smart way. But before I give them to you, I want you to walk into this conversation with open eyes. You know me as someone who talks about small audiences, right? How to grow your business, even if you have a small audience. And I feel like I need to tackle that bit before you even think about quitting your job. Because if your plan is to quit your job and go and grow an audience of 100,000 followers, so you can sell them anything, we have a reality check to make. And that is that a bigger audience does not guarantee your success. I'm going to tell you the story of this guy that I ran into on TikTok. He's a French tutor and his TikToks were amazing. They were so funny. Every time I got on TikTok, I would go and check out what he was doing next because he was so funny. He was so entertaining. I didn't really have any interest in signing up for services, so I didn't even know that he offered anything. I just thought he was a funny French guy. So one day I'm scrolling on TikTok and I see that he's going live and he doesn't look like he's about to make a joke. He looks very serious. So I stick around and I'm waiting for the punchline. This is an entertaining account, right? I'm waiting for the punchline. But he's not giving me a joke. He tells me, the rest of his audience through his live, he tells us that he grew his audience to hundreds of thousands of people, but nobody was buying his services. And he was mad about it. He was mad at everybody. He's like, I've been doing lives to help you with French. I've been putting out offers. I put a link in bio where you could just pay me just for being here. Like I've tried it all and you're still not paying me money. And the truth is that I cannot keep up this life as a creator if I cannot make income. And I kept listening to see if he would say like how he figured that out, but he never did. And I started to feel really sad that my favorite French creator was going away because he could not monetize his really large and engaged audience. I've also had audience members who come to me who say, okay, Ina, I have 100,000 followers. How do I make money? And I'm looking at it like, well, you're kind of putting the cart before the horse because I have no idea why these people are here. If you haven't figured out your perfect offer and your perfect ICA before you go and grow your audience, then what kind of audience are you growing? Why are they here? So the point of all of this is to let you know that it is a reality that there are creators out there who have hundreds of thousands of people in their lists, and they still are not making any money. So before you go and quit your job and try to grow your audience for a year, hear me out, because I want you to be making money. I want you to be replacing your salary. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a 3-parter. This is actually part 1. In part 1 is going to be the breakdown of these 2 numbers that you need to know by heart before you go and quit your job. You want to do things in the right order. So this episode is actually going to come in 3 parts. Part 1 is this episode where I'm going to share with you the keys, the 2 numbers that you need to know before you go and decide to quit your job. Then parts 2 and 3 are going to be released back to back next week. Part 2 is an interview with an amazing investing coach. Her name is Tess Waresmith, and she grew her business. She grew her wealth to $1 million without any of the things that you hear anybody else is doing. So it was very important to me that you knew what to do with your money. So watch that interview for all those tips. And then part 3, which is going to be released right back to back, right after that one, is going to be the breakdown of how you can start making $5K months. That's $5,000 a month by working only 5 hours a week. So hit the follow of this episode to make sure that you get these parts that are all going to come together so that you can make money in your business and quit your job at the best time possible. So now let's talk about these 2 numbers you need to know. I call these freedom numbers because once you know them, you're going to be able to give yourself the permission to make this real change in your life. Have you ever heard of people saying that they want to replace their salary before they decide to quit? That's actually a lot harder to do than you think, because there is nothing in entrepreneurship that will make your income as consistent as a paycheck. So even if you had 1 month where you made the same money as your regular salary, that doesn't guarantee that the next month is going to be the same. So that's not even a guarantee that you can say to yourself, I have replaced my salary and I can quit now. It's not as easy. It doesn't really work that way. So this is a belief system that you have to build up over time. And that is the fact that with your business, there are going to come ups and downs. You can't just rely on 1 month being great and the rest of the months just being up and up and up. So if you want to quit your job, you got to stop that belief that as soon as you make the same amount as your salary in a single month, that is going to solve all of your problems. So thinking of quitting your job as what I will do after I replace my salary, it's just not going to serve you, and it's not going to help you quit your job any faster. So how do you do it? I'm going to share with you 2 numbers. And these 2 numbers are the freedom numbers that you need to know in order to know when to quit your job. Number 1, what are your actual expenses per month? This is not the same question as me asking you, how much money should you be making in your business to quit your job? Not the same question at all. Because if I asked you, how much money do you need to be making? Chances are you will tell me the same as my salary. Everybody will tell you that. The truth is that you're probably living a little bit over your expenses. Your actual expenses, the things that you need to pay every single month, otherwise you will be homeless, otherwise you will not have food on the table, otherwise you will not have internet or a phone or water in your house. I need you to tally what all of those real expenses are and add some for leisure, right? We're not going to be tied to just paying mortgage here, but you need to know what your actual expenses are. And if really you had to bootstrap it, and if really you had to look at your expenses and let go of any luxuries or any things you don't need, what are the things you could let go of or minimize? Maybe you can eat out less, or maybe you don't have your Starbucks coffee, the proverbial Starbucks coffee in the morning, right? What are some things that you could live without if you had to? So give me, what is the number that equals the actual expenses for your household, for your livelihood? That if you cover those expenses, and it includes a little bit on top for anything that you absolutely need, like shampoo and soap and drinking water when you're out on the town, right? And maybe going to a movie every once in a while, right? What are those total expenses? Once you have that number, I want you to store that number away. And by the way, if this number is greater than your current salary, you have bigger problems because that means that you're living way over your means. That number should be a lot less than your current salary if you did that number right. Let's put a pin on that number and jump into number two. Number two, if you made zero money, in how many months will you need to go back to work? This means if you were to lose your job right now, how much money do you have in savings that will cover number one? That's why number one is so important to really get accurate and really get right. If I were to take your job away right now, how much would you need to be making every month in order to live, in order to survive, in order to not lose your roof, to not lose your grocery money, to be able to live? Not necessarily live fully comfortably. Maybe we're going without Hulu subscription for a while. Who knows? What is that number that if you made zero money right now, how many months would you be able to cover expenses in number one, in the number one we just calculated? How much in expenses do you have saved up? For some of you, you may be comfortable reaching a certain threshold on a credit card. For some of you, you might have savings that you can use, right? This is not blanket advice for everybody, and I will caveat by saying I am not a financial advisor. This is just for you to know. If you were to lose your job right now, how many months of savings could stand you up for how many months? I need that month number because if you were to quit your job right now and you started focusing on your business, it's really important for you to know, number one, how much money you need to be making in order to survive, and that is not the same as your salary, and how many months would need to pass before you need to go out and get another job, which means what is your runway? How many months do you actually have to make your business work, to make your business make the amount of money in number one? That's really what these numbers are giving you. So let me give you an example. Now that we have our two numbers, I know how much I spend on expenses and I know how many months of savings I have. So if I quit my job right now and I made zero money, I know how many months I'd be able to survive without any income. Now that you have those two numbers, let me give you an example. What if your salary is $4,000 a month, but your actual expenses are $3,000 a month? That is your number one. Now, let's go to number two. Let's say that you have $12,000 in savings. That means that if you were to lose your job right now, you could survive just off of your savings for 4 months. When we put these two numbers together, that means that if you were to quit your job right now, you would have 4 months to figure out how to make $3,000 a month. If you were looking at this from a coaching perspective and you were charging $1,000 a pop for your program, that means that you need 3 clients per month in order to make your minimum expenses. And 3 clients is a lot easier to process than thinking that you need 10, that you need 20, that you need to start a membership where you need 500 people in there right now, right? It makes the math a little bit easier and it gives you an exact goal to go for. And for those numbers, you really don't need a large audience. It's perfectly doable with the audience that you already have. So don't quit your job yet. We're going to tackle all of it in part 3 when we'll talk about how to make consistent 5K months even while working only 5 days a month. For now, enjoy our next interview with the amazing investing coach, Tess Waresmith. I'll see you in the next one.